Come to question 4, which Deputy Tadier will ask of the Chairman of the Education and Home Affairs Scrutiny Panel.
Thank you, sir. What steps, if any, will the Chairman and his panel be taking to satisfy themselves that adequate safeguarding mechanisms are in place at the prison in the light of recent allegations of misconduct by past members of staff? And will the Chairman advise whether the panel will undertake to conduct a review into dismissal procedures at the prison in relation to cases where there is evidence of gross misconduct?
So, Councillor Steve Pallett, answering a question for the first time.
Sir, the Education Home Affairs Scrutiny Panel have no intention at this time of taking any steps to review that adequate safeguarding mechanisms are in place at the prison. In regards to the second part of the question, the panel has no intention at this time of conducting a review into dismissal procedures at the prison in relation to current allegations of gross misconduct.
Will the Chairman confirm that he has received yesterday, along with the Home Affairs Minister and an email copied into the mainstream media, allegations which seem to come from a current prison employee stating no less than 7 prison staff in the past who have alleged to have had gross misconduct and a mixture of no action or them remaining or being moved on with pension rights and reputation intact? Can the Chairman confirm that he's received that email, and does it concern him, the allegations therein?
Yes, I can confirm that Deputy Tadier sent an email yesterday regarding allegations made by an anonymous person. All these allegations relate to misconduct or disciplinary matters, which are outside the remit of the panel. But yes, I can confirm I've had the email. I'll also say that one comment made at the beginning of that email, just in regard to the original allegation, and I'll quote this from the email itself, is that on the whole, it was a fairy tale.
So that is by no means conveying the comment, the tone of the email, which actually says, it ends up saying, the questions asked should be, why have all these incidents been covered up by X at the prison? Ultimately, the buck stops with the governor, but it is common knowledge that X, who runs Lemoy, makes the decisions. Several officers convicted of violent offences kept jobs because they were personally protected by X. Now, can the new Chairman of the Education and Home Affairs Scrutiny Panel say that whilst it may not be his remit to look into individual cases, the overarching policy when it comes to dismissal and safeguarding at the prison very much does fall within the remit of the Scrutiny Panel? And what further evidence does the Chairman need to take these allegations seriously if we're not at risk of actually bringing the whole system of both scrutiny and the prison into disrepute?
So quite simply, as the Deputy knows, because he's been in scrutiny for nearly 8 years or more at various times, anonymous submissions will not be considered. The panel at this current time has nothing in its hand that is not anonymous. I can't run, and it's impossible to run a scrutiny panel by internet, Facebook, Twitter, whatever social media that the Deputy involves himself in. There is a process to follow, and all I would ask is that any member of the public, including Deputy Tadier, has issues that he thinks are relevant to the scrutiny panel, to go through the correct procedures and the correct process. Do I have concerns? Yes, if he can find me evidence that's not anonymous, then there may well be issues that the panel will look at. But at the current time, the panel has nothing in its hand that is not anonymous, and the only thing that's not anonymous, well, it is anonymous, but the only thing that I have in my hand is an email yesterday that is anonymous. So, again, at the present time, I can't see what the scrutiny panel can do to please Deputy Tadier.
Deputy Higgins.
Thank you, sir. I must say I find that answer remarkable, considering that written question 9 outlines a whole series of offences and actions taken against prison officers about gross misconduct, about phones being taken in to the prison, and all sorts. So there's evidence in front of him here that shows actions going on in the prison which need to be investigated, and the prison governor and the Home Affairs Minister need to be held accountable for these. And what I could ask the chairman, this email that he's got, there are 7 named officers who have either had sexual relations with prisoners, supplied phones, pornographic material, whatever. Have you ever prosecuted any of these people, or have you had any dealings with these people?
Deputy Higgins, it's not the chairman of the Scrutiny Panel's job to bring prosecutions, and you...
As a centenier, sir, when he was a centenier.
No, I disallow that question. You're not entitled to ask questions of that kind.
With respect, sir, can we change it to, did he have any knowledge of these instances and these people?
Sir, the people mentioned, there is only one person on that list that I have knowledge of, although I didn't prosecute them at the time. In relation to the contention that in answer to question 9, there are quoted on here, I think 16 gross misconduct report. Well, again, that's a matter for the prison and the prison governor. It's not a matter, I don't feel, for scrutiny. This issue has been dealt with, and in fact, as Deputy Higgins knows, topics will be rejected if they are being addressed by others, and they have been addressed by others. And again, if Deputy Higgins had read the last prison report, which I have here, I will quote from it: "The prison regime and the quality of learning and skills provision were really very good." So again, an independent report has said the prison regime was very good. There is nothing to, I don't think there's anything that having a review will add or improve the service as it currently is at the present time.
Thanks, sir. I do appreciate from when our panel operated that looking at individual cases versus looking at systemic issues is a difficult issue. But I want to see if I can ask the chairman of the panel, would he accept that issues do move along, that reports do get outdated, and that it is part of the remit of the panel not to look at individual complaints, but it is part of the remit of the panel to look at the regime overall and to see whether it is functioning at an optimal level. Would he accept that that is the role of the panel, to look at the regime?
I think at times to time, I think the deputy may well be right. But I think he says, I don't think he used the word outdated report, but the report is current. The report only came out, within the last 10 months. So, as far as I'm concerned, and I think the panel who have also looked at this report, at the time, and I'll quote again from the report from from the prison service that did an independent report. At this inspection, we found an institution that had been transformed both physically and in terms of improved practice from the prison we expected 8 years ago. It is vastly improved. I visited it as a centenier some 6 or 7 years ago when there were some issues that needed to be resolved, and I think the previous report picked them up. At the current time, I believe that the prison is running well. It's got good officers that are doing a fantastic job up there. And as in regards to the some of these comments that have come back again, whatever the reason behind the comments that have been made on this anonymous email, it is not a matter, I believe, at the time for the panel, and I don't believe it will provide an improved service.
So just a supplementary, would the chairman also be prepared to look at statistics in the areas covered by this alleged anonymous report in order that he can determine whether or not there have indeed been some serious developments?
Again, this anonymous report deals with matters of misconduct. That is a matter for the governor and or the Minister for Home Affairs. It is not a matter for the panel. It is not within the remit of the panel, as I keep going, as I've said already, in terms of disciplinary matters. Some of these could well be grievances that individuals have. And again, as I've said, I don't think it will provide an improved service. So if new evidence comes up, then we will look at it. But at the current time, as I've just said, actually in the hands of the panel, there is nothing at the present time.
Deputy Van Law?
Thank you, sir. Does the chairman not believe that any misconduct, disciplinary or dismissal procedures come under a HR policy which should technically be addressed by the State's Employment Board?
It's a good question. It may well. It's not an issue that, it's not a subject that actually I've thought about. It may well. If the deputy wishes to bring a proposal for the panel to look at, quite happy to look at it, but it may well.
Final supplementary, Deputy Teddy?
Sir, the chairman has mentioned various things. He's tried to paint this as being something that only exists in the ether of social media. I remind the chairman that this email seems to have come from a member of staff, which I didn't ask to receive, which was sent to the minister and it was sent to the media, and it makes very serious allegations. And the final paragraph says that the morale in the prison is the lowest by far in 10 years that I have been there, and that the management, including X, run a regime based on corruption, bullying, lies and deceit. Now, these are not my words, these are contained in the email. Now, the chairman is saying that that person who is a whistleblower needs, first of all, to make his name public so that we know who he is, and that he needs to go back to that very management about whom he's making the complaints. Will the chairman at least acknowledge that there needs to be a mechanism for whistleblowers to come forward anonymously? And will the chairman confirm that I have told his panel I will get people to come forward to meet the panel in person, confirm who they are, so long as their anonymity can be maintained, and then he as chairman and the panel can decide how best to deal with those concerns. And if it's not something that can be dealt with by the panel, he and the panel, which I've also offered to join for this review, can then refer it onto the relevant body, sir.
I think the deputy knows very well that there is a process that can be followed that does allow people to give evidence. Their names can be withheld, although their evidence can be used. So it currently is within the panel's remit to do that. So I don't see why he thinks that system doesn't, or that process doesn't currently exist. It does exist.
Very well.
I've offered this to the chairman. I've said that I can bring forward people. He has essentially asked me to put up or shut up, in fact, in those exact words, and I've said that I'm willing to put up. So the chairman should at least accept the offer of listening to whistleblowers who want to give evidence. They don't send these emails for fun, sir.
Deputy, this is question time, not a debate. Will you accept the offer or not?
Any individual wishes to bring evidence to the panel that they wish that their names to remain anonymous. I think the deputy knows there's a process in place that can be followed to protect their anonymity if they so wish.